I'd like to welcome everybody to the Morgan County Council meeting, December 22nd, 2020. If you all stand, Kim will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Vicki will follow in prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to gather here together and perform the people's work in a land that is free. We just pray for so many who need you, your guidance, your love, your warmth, your strength. And dear Lord, at this time of year, we do give you a special blessing for your Son, Jesus Christ, and all that has allowed us in our lives. And dear Lord, we just pray for those who are sick, hurt, suffering from disease or illness. We just pray that this vaccine cure this evil disease or virus that we call COVID. And dear Lord, we just pray that you be with us as we face a new year. Let it be a year of cleansing and new beginnings. And all these things we ask in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our newest member, Troy Spinkle, for coming on board. Yay. Welcome to the Morgan County Council. If you have any questions or need any help.
No, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, call Dan, but he never answers when I call him. We need to approve the November 4th and December 7th meeting minutes.
Vicki Kivett makes a motion that we present the minutes as that we approve the minutes as presented.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second that.
No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Mr. Prather is absent this evening. He's notified me that he's feeling ill. First on the agenda, general fund, coroner.
It's okay, I'm going to hand you this. You guys want to pass it down. It's what I'm asking for, and it has a description of what it looks like. Good evening.
Good evening.
So I am requesting to transfer $1,400 into my equipment line. Brian has seen it firsthand, but the truck, the Boone County Coroner's lift gate that's on the back of the truck is lower than mine. So when we go to put the cot in, you would have to push up on the back of the cot in order to get it into the truck. And it's a dangerous situation. I feel like it's just not a good situation. His truck was lower, and I think that's probably why it's easier for him to do it, plus he's 6'4". So a company made us another piece of equipment at the office, and I took it to them, and they were able to fabricate this piece of equipment that's going to attach to the truck itself. So it's going to be a permanently fixed thing on the back of the truck that will come down as a ramping system, and the cot will roll right on it and make the wheels collapse immediately, so that won't be any danger to anybody, and we won't have a situation where we're dropping somebody on the scene.
This will end up saving fingers.
Yes, and people, and yes, backs, everything.
I don't see any question about this. I move that we transfer $1,400 from lab x-rays to equipment.
We have a motion on the floor for $1,400 from labs and x-rays to equipment. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas
Thanks,
to
Annette.
you. Next up, election.
That's Stephanie. I didn't recognize her.
Hi.
It's over.
You said
I'm getting my bills paid. Back in May, you all gave me an additional $10,000 for my supplies. I didn't realize we were going to have the crazy turnout we did for early voting, so I need to move that $10,000 from supplies to my absentee board.
I don't think any of us are going to question this at all.
Thank you.
And if there be no questions, I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer as outlined on our agenda.
We have a motion from Vicky to move $10,000 from supplies to the absentee board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Job well done.
Yes.
Motor Vehicle Highway Fund?
I'm probably the spokesman for that. The first line item is group insurance. I wasn't sure at the last meeting whether or not I'd find a transfer within the category that didn't need council action to cover the group insurance, but as you can see, I didn't. So I need to have the council approve the transfer to cover the group insurance. And then the next item is the continuation of the last meeting where we had an additional for contractual paving. If you make this particular transfer, we will be able to have all of our contractual paving expenses paid this year and not carry forward any to next year. If you remember, there was one road that the agreement was entered into, not one that any of us liked, where that the agreement with the contractor was that they would pay them next year for work they did this year, which is not the way we do business, not the way I wanted to do business. We've done a lot of transferring around, plus the additionals from last meeting, and we are in a position, if this transfer is approved, we will have that project completely paid, including the striping, and there will be no carryover of any projects into next year.
Good job, Dan. You want to do them individually?
No, not necessarily, that's up to the council.
No, for the record, I'll make a motion to transfer from vehicle maintenance, $35,429.63, to group insurance, $35,429.63.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Do I have a motion for supplies, repair, maintenance?
I'll make that motion. I motion that we transfer $92,800 from supplies, repair, maintenance to contractual paving.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Vicky Kivett makes that motion.
Thank you. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Again, 6-0. Thank you, Dan. Next on the agenda, 2021 salary ordinance.
I think we had everything last meeting, except we were questioning the matrix and 911. Is that what everybody
That's what I recall.
understood? A lot of reading. And I got the copies of Wagner, Irwin, and Shield Wiss Consulting's response in regard to this, and they gave some options for us. And in my reading, I think it would be best to, as we talked about last meeting, extract the director and the assistant director from the matrix, continue the matrix as it was a goodwill and agreed upon at the budget time. So in that, I think we also have to look at that salary. And so I pulled the median amounts for director and assistant director, because in all cases across the county, we did not go above the median in any situation. And I feel that I can't do that, I can't go above that and be fair to other employees within the county. So the median salary for the director is $63,835. The median salary for the assistant is $57,593. I would like to make a motion that we extract the director and assistant from the matrix, put them to those two median salaries that I've listed, and include their longevity. That's my motion.
We have a motion on the floor to extract the director and the assistant director out of dispatch and their matrix. Kim, follow me on this. Director at 63,835, assistant 57,593,
Yes, sir.
plus longevity. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And you guys are also within your motion approving the rest of the total
Matrix as-
2021 salary
Oh.
ordinance and the dispatch matrix, or is this just on the matrix? Is this the whole salary ordinance, or
Along with the salary ordinance as presented. Full
the full?
amount, yes.
Okay.
I agree.
That's why I'm,
I should have clarified that portion.
great job, thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve, as presented at the last meeting, the 2021 salary ordinance. The only change is dealing with the dispatch matrix, pulling the director and assistant director out, keeping their longevity and setting director's pay at 63,835 and the assistant director at 57,593. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Great budget session, council.
Personnel policy, employee handbook.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? So we introduced this topic at our last meeting. You've had a first reading of the personnel policy ordinance. You've had the draft handbook for a number of weeks now, and this is an opportunity for you all to move forward if you want, or if you have changes you would like to see made, an opportunity to introduce those as well. And Doree and I are up here for any questions or comments you have. And Doree can give you a little bit further insight on what will happen after you approve it and what WIS will do, and I'll turn it over to her for that.
So after we have approved it, what my plan is I will send the draft, which you have received in your email, to the department heads so that they can start reading it and start understanding, because we are kind of in a time crunch with timesheets for the new year and all of this. And then WIS comes in and they will do a presentation for us. It used to be in person, now it's gonna be a Zoom or a go-to meeting. And they will explain to all the department heads the changes. And they will give us the final form, which will have the cover page, it'll have the index, so you know which pages to look for. It will also have the glossary in the back of the terms that we wanted explained. And they'll also deliver to us a lot of the forms that are mentioned throughout the handbook to use. And so we'll have a session with all of our department heads and elected officials, and they'll have an opportunity to ask questions, and we'll hopefully roll it out like that so there's not a lot of questions. And then we'll ask every employee to sign a document saying they received a copy or they have access to the handbook.
Great. It's a great move forward, you guys. How long had it been since the handbook had been updated? Refresh us.
2003.
Yeah.
Wow.
There were a few amendments and things added, but 2003.
Yeah. A lot of things have changed.
Yes.
Thank you for all
Thank
your hard
you.
work on that.
Any other questions? Then we need a motion to approve the personnel policy employee handbook.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Kim, oh, go ahead, Troy.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
6-0. MVH Restricted Fund Revenue Transfer Resolution.
So this afternoon, I sent to you an email with the two resolutions being presented to you tonight. One is the resolution to follow up the elections that you made at last June, or this June, and then the election you made at the budget hearings, where you elected to transfer from the MVH Fund 1176 to the MVH Restricted Fund 1173, $785,000. And then at budget hearings in August, you elected to have allocated to allocate to the MVH restricted fund 100% of the MVH distributions from July through December. And the $785,000 has been transferred. The July through December, that's not yet been moved over to the MVH restricted fund and will be if you adopt this resolution. The total of those two transactions is $1,673,453. So that is the first resolution, is the transferring from MVH fund to the MVH restricted fund. Those actions were made by you at budget time and in June in order to be able to fully fund all of the paving, the construction, reconstruction, preservation of roads projects for this year, and to have a balance going forward to help fund the projects for next year. Go on to the next resolution.
Call these one at a time. So, with that presented and having the resolution to transfer funds from the MVH fund to the MVH restricted fund, are there any questions for Mr. Baston? I called him Mr. Baston because my family's here. Correct. Moving right along. Yes.
We've seen his door, too.
Yes, yes. Any questions for the auditor? There being none, I look for a motion to approve the first resolution.
Did you have a question?
I did have one question. The balances that you gave us that are anticipated at the end of 2021, are those close to or the same as you had anticipated at budget time?
Well, actually, the budget, the balances for the moving 100% of the money next year over, I had not made that projection yet. But
Okay.
So today, I mean, we made, because
You had those numbers.
made that projection. But yes, for this year's transfers, yes.
Okay, okay. Then I make a motion to approve the resolution to allocate more than 50% of the 2021 MVH revenue to the MVH restricted fund.
Have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Vicki Kivett makes that second.
Any further questions? Hearing none, I call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Mr. Basson, would you like to present the next resolution?
I think we just need a motion to approve this one when we were talking about the first.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I already approved the wrong one. I'm sorry, Dan.
You made a motion for the,
I was reading ahead.
The first resolution is to move from the MVH fund to the MVH restricted fund, the current money of $1,673,450.
I think the 50 cents threw her off.
Troy, don't sit near me. I'll get you all screwed up.
Thank you.
So do I need to withdraw my second and just take it off?
no, I mean, we can have the discussion, and then if we agree with the discussion, then everything stands.
Yep.
So let's have the discussion. Anybody?
I don't have any
No
discussion.
discussion.
Have a problem with either resolution.
neither.
Do I?
I don't either.
We've done our
Needs to be
homework.
done.
We know. So we stick with,
This amend Kim's to include both.
Yep, there you go.
Kim, would you please amend your motion, and then Vicki, if you would like to second that to,
Kim Meredith will amend her motion to include both the MVH restricted fund revenue transfer resolution and the resolution to allocate more than 50% to the MVH revenue to MVH restricted fund.
there, that covers us.
And Vicki Kivett seconds that motion.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. There you go, Dan, both of them passed. COVID-19 vaccine clinic discussion.
It's like Groundhog Day. We keep hearing this over and over.
Doesn't it? Well, the good news is, we got the paperwork, which you have in front of you, for the 80,000 $624, I believe, grant from the state at the end of business today, and it has been forwarded to Dr. Broderick, who's behind me, and I'm certain he will get that done most ricky-ticky, and we should get that coming our direction. It's already done. See, I love it when a plan comes together. Now, as we begin to work through this, for those of you who in our original phone call, was it last week, 2 weeks ago? When I threw money, dollar signs out there, I was woefully incorrect. When I started really putting my long form map together, it's not 120,000, it's 461,000 plus. Now, don't panic. There's things we can do to mitigate a lot of this charges. First of all, we're looking to hire our own people, our own part-time people to reduce the cost, because using the staffing service is very expensive. So if we can mitigate some of those costs by hiring our own people, we will do that. I'm also going to supplement with volunteers. I put the request out today. I got at least 6 volunteers, a couple of them retired nurses that will be able to volunteer, or maybe we can hire them part-time. But I think we can greatly reduce that cost. I don't see us working the staffing agency all the way down the line. Now, that's also based on a worst-case scenario, and I don't think the state has adequately thought things through. This is running a vaccine clinic all the way to the end of July 31st, which I think is highly unreasonable. I think by the time we get to the public aspect of it, there'll be pharmacies, doctor's offices, it'll be like a flu shot. So I'm not too certain we'll be running this massive clinic like they're planning to, but that's the way we have to plan. So I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. I think it's highly unlikely that's going to happen. Another thing that I think is going to affect, especially in early stages of this, is the amount of doses we receive. That's going to greatly restrict who can get the vaccine and what groups, and the state's going to dictate that. The one thing I've heard happening in the hospitals right now is they're booked out January 28th. I'll have my vaccines before the hospital has that, and it's based on the amount of vaccines they're getting. I think each hospital received 729 doses in the initial shipment. I don't know if they received any or not since then, but I think that's going to greatly upfront, because the availability of the vaccine is going to curtail our operating hours. Our operating hours, as discussed, is going to be 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 1 on Saturday. The state wanted us to run 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. That can't happen. We're not the only health department pushing back on that, so the state has backpedaled quite a bit, and they're willing to work with us. In talking to some of my colleagues in some of the larger counties, I think we might be a little overambitious, so we might be able to dial that back if the state's going to allow it, because I know Hendricks County, they were talking about doing 4-hour clinics Monday through Friday. So I really don't know on this planning based on the worst-case scenario they've given me. So worst-case scenario, we're looking about $500,000. You know, if it's going to happen that way, we can't not do it, but I don't foresee us getting that far. Some of the things that we've achieved to this point, we've got a off-site location at the Save-A-Lot store down the road, in which we're going to be able to run the vaccines through. The vaccines will not be stored there. They will be stored here in the health department, transported down as needed to the site. So that's basically where we're at. Staffing-wise, I'm looking at 5 LPNs, 3 of them to do vaccines, 2 of them to do screening. We may be able to eliminate the screening people and maybe even turn them into vaccines based on flow, because most nurses have a tendency of wanting to screen before they do anything, even though that person's been screened. We've learned that in the pods that we've dealt with in our drills. So that might be 2 people, a high dollar, that we can reduce. And we got 3 non-medical people that are doing data entry and greeting people as they come in checking temperature. The vaccines will be issued on a appointment basis. You have to go into the website and actually register for a time and show up that time. I'm not planning to take walk-ins just because I can't control the numbers because of the vaccine. When we get to the general public, which they're talking about in April or May, that might be a different story, but like I said, I think by the time we get to that point, there's going to be other delivery options available. So I don't really see that being a problem as of yet. There's going to be some things we have to buy IT-wise. We're looking at some wireless MiFis or wireless systems for the computers to work. At the store, EMA's actually got 6 computers they're giving me, so we do not have to purchase those. I have 3 myself, and looking at what we need, I think we only need 5 to begin with, maybe 6. So we're in good shape in that regard. So there's not going to be a big outlay of money other than the personnel costs up front. Using the staffing agency will give us a baseline on what we will need, what we'll need to hire, what we don't need. And so as we start replacing those with our folks, we can start backing them down. And like I said, I don't think we're ever going to get this close to that dollar figure, but it's there. That being said, any questions?
I think Dr. Broderick, did he have something?
There's a use for your computer.
My recent experience, so I'm getting mine Sunday. I'm going to be up on the north side. I put in, the application is very intuitive. One of the better things I've interacted with. It was impressive. The zip code, here's your options. Choose one. Choose a date. All this openings. There's Sunday was wide open. I'm going to be up there anyway. Pick the time. Get a text. Thank you. Register now. Fill out the things. So that's the same system, which I suspect it will be. It'll just be if somebody puts in 46151 that.
It's a different platform.
Okay. Well.
But this is supposed to be easier to work, so I don't know.
Hopefully it's, yeah, if it's anything as intuitive as that is, it was really easy, which brings up a point, so why I want to demonstrate that is, yeah, I'm going to Hendricks County. Okay, and so if somebody works here, then they can, they live on the other side of Morgantown in Johnson County, but they can get it here, or they can get it in Johnson County, or if they work in Bloomington. So that's some numbers we may see either going away or coming to, that we are not vaccinating just Morgan County residents.
Right.
It's a site in this county or wherever in the state. And so that, if somebody's looking and thinking, man, I can't get into Hendricks County till blah, hey, let's go down to Morgan. Look at that. So we might see some of that. And we have more availability than somebody else is doing 4-hour clinics. So again, we're going to learn as we go here. But again, I was very pleased with the system. It was really easy. Got a confirmation text, appointment. I expected to be wrestling and swearing at it. It was very, very good. So with any luck, that's what we're dealing with. And so you will have people showing up at 10, 15-minute intervals. We have 2 stations to vaccinate or just the 1. So
Great.
I was very reassured.
This will be our only location in the county.
Right, because we can't, we have to transport the medicine, the vaccine back and forth. And I want the shortest distance between A and B because that temperature has to be monitored all the way down the line. In fact, our nursing staff is looking about buying a cooler that has a monitoring device on it so we can stay compliant and show, hey, look, if there's a problem, it didn't happen on our end. So, yeah, and when we start doing 2 locations, you're going to increase your staffing, you're going to increase your costs. So this, due to the state's, how I want to say, requirements to control the vaccine, I can't do 2 locations. It's just not going to happen. Now, one other source of funding coming out is, and again, it's a very gray area, the vaccine's free, but if anybody has insurance, that's put into the system, and they're going to be charged a $28 administrative charge. Supposedly, the the state will collect on that, or whatever company it is doing this, and then they will reimburse us for that cost. So, again, that's a moving target, and it's not been discussed a lot, and I hope for it, but I'm not planning on it.
Are there any other resources for funding? I mean, other than this grant, is there anything that you're aware of that we can be?
The only thing I heard is in the CARES Act, or not the CARES Act, the new. whatever
Stimulus.
thing the stimulus package, there's a component in there, but I have not seen or heard what that is. Brian mentioned it last night, and I heard it again today. So there may not be.
Something we might want to try to check into?
I suspect if there's a change in administration as expected, you'll see maybe some additional funding coming down the road out of that. Again, that's a crystal ball, and I don't have one of those.
Yeah.
But I find it hard to believe that they expect health departments, especially of our size, to carry on this kind of a debt load without additional funding.
Without some assistance, yes. Okay.
Come on, guys, I'm talking $500,000, you're throwing me softballs, come on.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed that they're going to try to tap your insurance if you got insurance, but I know that's nothing to you. I mean, this is a pandemic. We should be helping everybody, insurance or not insurance.
Now, if somebody don't have insurance, there's no cost to them.
Right,
They still get it.
I
So
realize that, but it just creates another layer of administration costs involved with this, but,
Well, they've done that with the testing, too.
sure.
If you have insurance, you give them the insurance information, they're charging an insurance company, so.
Well, I think if you can tap into some of that retired nursing force,
Absolutely.
because I saw on that contract that you had, the nurses were, RNs were at like $64 an hour.
Yeah, that's why you don't see them in our plans.
Yeah.
You know, we have to have an RN. I've learned we have to have an RN around, but our nurses are RNs, so they'll be available. So I want one of them around at all times. kinda
Exactly, okay.
Oversee things.
Well, we
because
trust
I'm
you
not gonna
to
be able to camp out there.
guard
all day.
those dollars. So this evening, are you just looking for the blessing of the initial 120 that
We are
had
just talking
discussed?
about it
Because we
because
can't
there
make
can't be any
an additional-
appropriations done until February, is what I've been told, John. So that's all I've got.
There is this resolution to support, is that,
Steve's done a lot of work on this. I'm very thankful for how quickly he's
Yes.
dug into it. And
Thank you, Steve.
everything that him and the whole team are doing to get together. And as he mentioned, one of the things I'll point out to you is the lease for the new building. I think most of you are familiar with it, but this was a fast-moving target. The Schwab Family Trust has worked with us to provide that building at $1,000 per month for a 6-month duration, as well as the option to extend it for 1-month increments up to 6 months for the same price. They did that under the authority of a similar resolution than what you're all getting ready to consider, which is under the powers given to us through 1014, as well as our local ordinances in Chapter 34, which says when there's a pandemic, if waiting for the full process to play out is going to hamper what needs to happen, you can sidestep those rules and allow the process to catch up later. So even though the commissioners didn't have funding authority from you all yet, they went ahead and executed the lease. And working in tandem with Steve, we aren't asking for a specific dollar amount yet, but you have a resolution before you that says, hey, we have real obligations we need to get moving on. Can we come back as we get the full figures and do an additional appropriation at the appropriate time? And so that's what's before you today. And if you have questions, Jim can answer them. But we just wanted to put that before you guys for consideration.
Any questions?
Did you check on the insurance?
No, I'll ask Josh about that. We probably will need to address an additional location that the county will be occupying in regard to the insurance for that location. So you might make a note to make a call to your agent on that.
Absolutely.
So does that take us into the rainy day vaccination fund discussion?
That is as this ordinance, this resolution.
With the grant agreement. Do we have that resolution in front of us?
I can make you a copy of that. You want a copy?
No, I was looking for it and I
Yeah,
didn't
we
have it.
don't
No,
have it
I'm okay.
No, we're okay not having it.
In your packet.
The good thing is hopefully the council will never have to do this again for another 100 years.
Hopefully.
Can I see it?
It's the purpose of rainy day.
Yep.
And while Brian's overlooking that, one of the things I'll add, the purpose of this resolution also, we wanted you all to be part of this discussion and not just plow forward and then come and say, hey, we have these authorities. So we want you to be looped in throughout that entire time.
We appreciate that, Josh.
Rainy day is actually being mentioned here because when the additional appropriation request is presented to the council, it'll probably be at the February meeting, the request will be to appropriate money out of the rainy day fund.
Council, I need someone to make a motion in support of the resolution in support of Department of Health and required expenditures to administer COVID-19 vaccinations.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sign. 6-0. Thank you, Josh.
Yes.
Is this the copy you want signed? Even, that's good. All that needs signed? That'll need signed too. Next, regional jail discussion.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
My Christmas to you, council, I'm not asking for any money. I'm not giving you any money either, but I'm not asking for any money.
Only because it's not allowed this
Yeah.
morning, right?
Exactly. not allowed.
I would say, no.
No, this is going to be fairly simple. I don't know if you folks have seen any paperwork on this or not, but the Owen County Sheriff's Office is looking to build a new jail. Pursuant to Indiana code, they have to survey surrounding counties to see if we're interested in going in with them on a regional jail concept. If you recall, we visited this earlier this year when Johnson County done the same thing. And at that time, I, myself, and you weren't interested in doing that, along with Johnson County. The sheriff was not interested in that. And I personally talked to Sam Hobbs, the sheriff of Owen County yesterday on this subject, and he is not interested in a regional jail with us either. But with Indiana code being that way, we're required to ask and to survey you. So I myself have signed off that I'm not interested. The county commissioner signed off last night, and I'm asking for your signature on that also, saying that we're not interested. So that's all that is.
That need to be
Is
informed. in the
anybody
motion.
up here interested or disinterested? And if they would be so kind to put that in a form of a motion.
Kim Meredith will make a motion that we are not interested in a regional jail with Owen County.
We have a first and a second on being not interested in a regional jail. Any further discussion?
Do any counties do that, Reg? Rich?
No, not here in
Like
Indiana.
your bigger ones or anything?
No, not in Indiana, no.
Okay.
No further questions or discussion. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Sign. We are not interested.
Thank you.
Brown Township Virus Relief Fund reimbursement request.
Good evening again. Early on, as you all will remember, we had a different mechanism to get our CARES Act money than we ended up with. It was a reimbursement style request. We created a process to go through that reimbursement, and we sent that out to our underlying political sub-entities. A week and a half ago, I believe it was, Brown Township replied, said, hey, here's all the paperwork, here's the payroll vouchers to support all of that. We reviewed it. I think in your packet you have, it's their cover sheet, but they have included all their documentation, and it totals $22,045.19. The problem is, we don't do a reimbursement now that we ended up with the mechanism where we submitted one payroll voucher, we got all of our money, and you all allowed us to transfer most of it into the rainy day. And so now we need to look at, are we still going to allow them to pass money through like we had said we would once before? If so, we will have to do an additional appropriation to do that next year. I would imagine you would want to do it out of the rainy day money that we tucked away. And then this is a question Dan and I didn't get to discuss, but is this something that we would be comfortable going ahead and allowing them to get the money now and follow up with that appropriation later if they need the dollars? I don't know what Dan's comfort level with that is on this particular item or not.
I'm comfortable with that. The rules have been so changing daily, almost by the Board of Accounts. I can't imagine that they would take exception if you were to vote to.
Well, and I think their budget's pretty tight there
to
anyway
approve
that they would need it.
reimbursement, and we would go ahead and spend that money and cover it next year with an appropriation.
Yeah. I'd make a motion that we approve that additional, or it's not an additional appropriation at this time, but expend that money to Brown Township for their reimbursement.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Kim Meredith will second.
I just have to ask, because I read somewhere, and I've been reading a lot, I see here that 22, 45, 19, is it limited to 20, or did I just come up with a number?
I don't think it's limited.
No one, you didn't discuss a limit at the time.
Okay.
It wasn't something that had come up. I've heard some numbers thrown around, but there was no limit set on what we would actually pass through.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Next up, the 2021 County Council meeting schedule.
It was in your email today. You have to print it out.
Dan, Elliot, I think this is where we vote to move them on like Sunday evenings
I
and
like that
Wednesday
plan.
mornings.
Yeah, 7:30 a.m.
Yes, yes. Hopefully you all had a chance to review that. You were going to say something before?
I'll just say that for the most part, it mirrors this year's schedule, with just one or two exceptions. One exception is in the August meeting on this proposed schedule is the first Monday in August rather than the second, I think it was this year, Monday in August. There was a reason why I was moving it up into August that I think I'll be okay this year having it on the first Monday, and I'll probably shoot myself when it comes July, but anyway. Seems like there was, also, because due to the fact there are no elections in the 2021, then the meeting in May and November is changed to be the first
Monday. It can be the first Monday because they
I
won't
have
be.
Wednesday here, that should say Monday in May
Oh, yeah,
3rd.
this should have been a Monday.
And then the November 1st Monday, first Monday in November. Those are, so
You
those
said the
will be
right
the
date.
first Monday in May rather than,
I like the Mondays.
Me too.
I like Tuesdays, but that doesn't.
Does that have to be in the form of a motion?
To accept the
The schedule as presented with the one correction, moving the May meeting to Monday the 3rd.
I've got Wednesday, it should have said Monday.
Monday the 3rd.
Well, he said that's.
Vicky
not our
Kivett
doing,
makes a
that's
motion
our
that we
binding,
accept the
and that's why
proposed
he said it was
schedule as
later this year,
presented.
too.
Motion on the floor, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 6-0. Other business. Is there any other business from the public?
I do want to acknowledge Bob O'Neill, who was a member of our council, who's present tonight. Take a bow, Bob.
That's right, Bob.
We're back. We tried to ask for money.
Oh, I knew you was carrying that box for a reason.
Yeah. We just got a little something for our outgoing guys from the county council here. We appreciate all your support that you've had from the Warren County Sheriff's Office in the short time that I've been here. The long time that David's been here, working with you all, but you're a professional group. We appreciate what you do. We appreciate all the questions that you ask us. It's our nose and grindstone to make sure that we're doing our due diligence with the money and the taxpayers' money. And so you're doing your jobs. We appreciate it. We appreciate what you've done here in the past and all the sacrifices you and the families have made to us. Welcome aboard, Troy. So a little bit, one thing that we give you each, from myself and David, you each get a get out of jail free card. This is only one time. You can't punch it like that, okay?
Get a free.
I won't be standing there like Polar Express.
And also, we have a little plaque.
Those are nice.
Those are
Very
beautiful.
nice.
Take with you, so, and it's appreciation for what they've done for us. So, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Picture out there of them two.
And again, I just want to say, I appreciate Brian. Brian's kept me definitely on my toes throughout the years, and clear back when I first became jail commander, didn't understand budgets so well. I was up here many times and with lots of questions, and Brian was always a very good mentor to me to work through those and learn this process.
Yes.
I greatly appreciate that. Daniel's obviously been great to us as well, being on the council and been a very supportive person in the sheriff's office. We appreciate that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, your council would also like to acknowledge you and thank you, Brian, for your years of service to this council and this community. You wear a lot of hats around here. And I know I have your number on speed dial, and I think times you hit do not answer, but that's okay. But I also know that it takes a lot from a family when you get those calls and they're gone. And I know Audrey's probably said, why is she calling again with questions? But I just want to say that we thank you for your service. We appreciate you and your loyalty to this community. I know you love the county, and we wish you well in your new endeavor. I tried to sneak in here tonight early and give Brian have his gift hidden, but I turned the corner and there was the cat suit already here.
The cat suit.
So this is from your county
Have
council.
to find out and get you one of those cat
And if your
suits for
family,
next
if you
year.
want to acknowledge them, if your family would stand up, we'd like to say thank you for giving us your son. He's been a great one to us, and we sure appreciate him.
Thank you. Following in the footsteps of Mr. O'Neill when he
He's got.
departed from the council, he did a little speech, and maybe not be as elegant as him.
Oh, my.
Please bear with me. In 1998, there was talk of a superhighway going through the southern end of the county, and get ready for it. We were also, Audrey and I were pregnant with our first child, and I gave her the option of saying, where do you want to live? We had the business in town, but didn't necessarily mean that we had to live here. She said, we're going to stay here. And I said, if we're going to stay here, I'm going to get involved. And I went with the motto, I didn't want to overtax my parents because I still wanted to be able to go home and have dinner and Christmas, but I wanted to hopefully help to shape the county to give my children an opportunity to someday come back and raise their families. So today, as I was having some outpatient surgery, I thought, hey, this is going to be my last council meeting, and I had no clue Mr. O'Neill was going to be here, but I thought he gave a pretty good speech when he went out. And I thought, do I get 1 minute for every year that I've been in office? I mean, 23 minutes is not too long of a period of time for those of us in the political circles, because we're pretty good at getting up and talking about nothing for all day long. But then I got to thinking about the great Republican Lincoln, And he did one of the best speeches in just 3 minutes. So with that in mind, I have to say, 103 years ago, Morgan County voters gave a 28-year-old kid a chance, and I have learned a lot. I need to thank my family, Audrey, Brianna, Jonathan, and Molly, Mom and Dad. I need to thank my team at H&R Block. I need to thank the fire department, the past chiefs, mayors, and especially C-Shift. And I need to thank all the fellow elected officials who have tolerated me in my cat suits for years. Troy, you will learn that we do serious work on the council, but it doesn't mean you can't have fun doing it. I need to thank the taxpayers, the voters who have entrusted me for 23 years and have blessed me with an opportunity to serve them for 4 more. I ask for the patience of everyone going forward. Respect the past, build the future. Thank you.
Are you going to open your gift?
Right now?
Yeah.
It's a cat, it wants out of there.
This is being viewed by millions of people. That is awesome.
Did I may have talked to your wife. You're welcome. Well, before we end, we also have someone else that'll be leaving us, and we're going to miss you, Daniel. You wear a lot of hats as well in this community, and we wish you well in your next endeavor. We know you're not done with politics. You're never done with politics, but we appreciate you. We appreciate what you've done on this council, and we wish you the very best.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You want a photo with his family? Keith? You want a photo with his family?
Need a motion to adjourn.
We'll adjourn.
Okay.
We'll adjourn.
All right.
Dan Baston has given me a plethora of papers to sign that will be coming down to you, Dan, if you'd be so kind to make sure you collect them and get them back.
I've been doing that for 4 years.
Yeah.
I can do it one last time.
Done a good job at that.
And very much appreciated.
I don't think there's anything to sign on that one. Where?
I'm going to check on that, see
right
if there's
there.
anything in that stimulus that can help us.
Is there any other business to bring in front of the council? Council? Hearing none, I ask for a motion for adjournment.
I'm going to pass a sheet of paper down and write down what name you want on your nameplate so we can get those ordered for next year.
I hope you guys don't change your names.
Oh.
Because Santa Claus,
Oh.
mine's going away gift.
Oh,
You better have spelled my name right.
that's right.
It's kind of been a running joke. We've gone from not having names, tags, to having
Sheet of
paper
paper.
ones, to moving them around.
I'm impressed.
Are these really from you? Thank you, thank you. Wow.
Very nice. They're nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, spelled it right and everything.
Well, we got some money for the.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. Thank you, Brian.
Merry Christmas.
Yes. All right,
Any other business?
I don't think so.
I ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Merry